My bad.
3.
And Abraham fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations.
Of many nations, not all nations, many nations. All right, it's very important that you know that. Read on.
Neither shall thy name any more be called Abraham, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made.
That's what his name means, father of nations, right? Read on.
And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
Read on.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, and their generation, for everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, in the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
So now part of this covenant, right? And I'm going to just speed up ahead of time and tell you what the covenant is that the word of God was going to come through him, all right? And that the land of Canaan, which is called Israel today, was going to be to his seed forever. Now that covenant was passed down from him to Isaac, and from Isaac to Jacob, Jacob to the Israelites. All right. So the land of Israel belonged to the true descendants of Israel. What you're going to find out today, many of the wars that's happening in this world today is other nations like Esau and Ishmael who want to lay hold of that covenant for themselves.
Yeah.
They want to portray themselves as God. So instead of you looking at Yahweh Shad as the Messiah and the Son of God, they want you to look at the Prophet Muhammad as the Messiah. You understand? Or Caesar Borgia as the Messiah. This is their way of knocking us out of the box and trying to claim this covenant for themselves. That's what all of these wars in the world is about. World War III, all of that stuff is really about this covenant.
Says it right here.
Read on.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. You writing notes. You better write notes. You take over.
And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and ye.
Read verse 12.
And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you.
So now the agreement are pretty much what symbolized this covenant was circumcision. So the Lord said, listen, on the 8th day, any male child that's born from your people on the 8th day, they supposed to be circumcised. All right. And that is part of the covenant. That's why our children get circumcised on the 8th day, because we're Israelites. That shows that the covenant was given to us. All right. Arabs didn't start doing circumcision until what we're about to read right now when they started doing it. Their forefather Ishmael was 13 years old when he first got circumcised. And none of his people do circumcision on the 8th day. They all do circumcision just immediately when you're born. But to be circumcised on the 8th day is a sign that we have the covenant of God. Read on.
Every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger which is not of thy seed.
Meaning even if it's another nation that's amongst us, all right, and they're servants to us, read on. They got to be circumcised as well. Read on.
He that is born in thy house and he that is bought with thy money must need be circumcised.
Right. Read verse 15.
And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarah thy wife, thou should not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her.
Right. So now he's prophesying that he's going to have another son named Isaac, pretty much. Right. Read on.
I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her.
Now that's talking about the Israelites. All right. She's the mother of Israel. Read on.
Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born to him that is 100 years old? Shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
So Abraham think this is impossible. I'm an old man. I already got a son. His name is Ishmael. What about him? And watch what the Lord say. Read on.
And God said to Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac.
And Isaac means laughter, all right? Because he laughed because he didn't believe this prophecy. All right? Read on.
And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
So he said the covenant was going to be given to Isaac, meaning his descendants was going to have the covenant, not Ishmael. Read on.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
Right. So now God said, listen, I'm going to bless Ishmael, but not the same way I'm going to bless Isaac. And Ishmael is blessed. When you think about the kingdoms today, the European nation ruled the whole world except for the area where the Ishmaelites are ruling. All right. I just had a friend of mine who she went on vacation in Dubai, and she showed pictures on Facebook, and I was like, yo, it's beautiful over there. They got their own land. They got they're the largest producers of oil. All right. Well, besides, they're like one or the second largest producers of oil in this world. You understand? So they have their own kingdom. Everything that we're looking for as the Israelites, they already got in this world now. They don't gotta wait for the world to come. You understand? So Ishmael has been blessed. And it said that princes was going to come from him. He had 12 princes. Now it turns out that the so-called Prophet Muhammad also claimed to be descendant of one of those princes, which that family was in charge of a certain item. So now we're going to read some history now from Babylon to Timbuktu, and we're going to read about the origins of Islam. From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 44. At the time of the birth of Muhammad, what were the international events of conditions operating? The answer to this question is necessary for the comprehension of the rapid emergence of the Muhammadan Empire. The Roman Empire, so these were the people that was ruling during the time that the so-called Prophet Muhammad was around. The Roman Empire at the birth of Muhammad was divided into two parts. The Western Empire with the capital at Rome, and the Byzantine Empire with the capital at Constantinople. All right, so Rome was divided into two. You had Western civilization and you had the Eastern civilization. All right, just like in their religion, you have Christian Orthodox, like Greek Orthodox and Eastern Orthodox, and then you have Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholics, their church is based out in Rome, in the Vatican. The Eastern Orthodox, which is the same as Christianity, Catholic, but just an older version of Catholicism, their church is based in Jerusalem. All right. The Roman Empire is the West collapsed AD. Hold on, let me skip through some of this. With the defeat of Jewish and Christian power in Arabia, the stage was now set for the rise of a new power on the world scene. This new power was Arabia. The Arabian Empire, with its new religion, Islam, established the substructure of its culture on the ruins of the Roman Empire in the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Europe. Europe remained dormant and inactive for 1,000 years through the Dark Ages. All right. That's a whole nother class. While the Muslim Empire mastered the civilized progressive world. Let us return now to survey the rise of the Muslim religion and the empire of Arabia. When Muhammad was born, many Arabs were still worshiping the sun, stars, spirits, and idols. The Arabs possessed 360 idols, one for each day of the year. Muhammad was born 570 AD, 4 years after the death of Emperor Justin. He was descended from the tribe of Quraysh and the family of Hashem. His mentality was prodigious, like a prodigy. He had the mentality of like he was a prodigy. In his youth, he was never taught to read or write because they say Muhammad was illiterate, right? But his imagination was superlative. Muhammad was an extraordinary handsome man and eloquent and motivating men with the power of words. In the early years of Muhammad's life, he passed his time as a shepherd boy. After Muhammad became a camel driver, he traveled to remote and intriguing lands. He led his caravans into Persia, Syria, and Egypt, transacting business and merchants of every kind. So he was a traveler and he learned things everywhere he went. All right. On his business trips, he met Jews, Christians, and members of other sects. He interrogated them concerning the tenets of their religions. He frequented an environment of the Jews and their rabbis, mostly because they were merchants and an omnipresent ethnic group. So he dealt with Jews a lot because everywhere he went, it turns out Jews tended to be there. So because everywhere he went, Jews was there, he always inquired and asked us, but what is this about your religion? And why y'all believe this? And why y'all only believe in one God and not a whole bunch of guys like us? All right. And we used to teach him. So a lot of his religion come from us. Muhammad learned and extracted much from the Jewish religion and compounded it with his new religion, Islam. When Khadijah, a rich widow, heard of good reputation of Muhammad, she employed him in her business. He went on a business deal, transacted it with good results, and returned home at an advantageous time. Muhammad was amazed at the beauty of Khadijah. He had not seen her before because he had received his position by proxy. Khadijah was immensely gratified by the way he conducted her affairs and the manner in which he presented himself to her. Muhammad was not a tall man, but he had such broad shoulders that he looked like a giant. All right, so but the fast forward into the story, he gets married to Khadijah. This is his first wife. Khadijah was a Jew, all right, a real Jew, a black Hebrew Israelite, but she followed the religion of Catholicism. All right.
Wow. Hot damn.
You got to understand, we started that. Yep, we started that.
Sorry, man.
So we messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got nothing else to drink. Sorry. I want to drink that same stuff.
Muhammad spent many days in the hills outside of Mecca. He was immersed deeply in the deplorable conditions of his people, and he wanted to lead them away from moral, I can't pronounce that word, and idolatry. It seemed to him that the angel Gabriel appeared to him. This is what he said. He said that the way he received the Quran is that the angel Gabriel came to him, and this was supposed to be a miracle because he was illiterate. So the angel put the spirit on him to be able to write the Quran. That's what they said. Go to Galatians.
That's why they always speak of Jabril.
Mm-hmm. Go to Galatians chapter 1, verse 6.
Interesting.
So now, this wouldn't be the first time that somebody claimed to have a vision from God and started a whole new religion based off of that quote unquote vision. So we about to find out what the Bible says about it, because the Bible already laid down what we need to be doing and what we shouldn't be doing, right? Read that Galatians chapter 1 verse 6 real quick. It might be verse 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Chapter 1, verse 8.
Mm-hmm. Galatians chapter 1 verse, I think it's 6. It might be verse 8.
I marvel that ye are so soon removed.
Read verse 8.
Verse 8. But though we or an angel.
So now Paul is saying, listen, if me, even me, or one of these apostles that Jesus taught himself, or even an angel, Muhammad said he saw what? An angel, Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
So he said, even me or an angel, read on.
Or an angel from heaven preach another gospel.
Preach a what?
Another gospel.
Another gospel. Something different than what Jesus Christ already preached. Right? Read on.
Unto you, then that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed.
Let him be what?
Accursed.
So now that shows you that Muhammad didn't see the angel Gabriel. He saw a dang going demon. That's what he really saw.
That's deep, yo. I never. Yo, it's crazy.
That's what he really saw.
Right?
I am in the right place. I'm in the right place. I feel totally secure right now.
Now, page 48.
Hold on.
Yeah, you can write it down. I'm going to read this while you're writing that down. The Prophet Muhammad adopted many principles and laws from the Jewish religion. First of all, the basic idea of monotheism, meaning the idea of one God, because they believed in a God for each day of the year. All right, so when he went back to his people, he got them to believe in only one God, right? Which is the belief in one God. The Jewish confession of the unity of God is Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, or in the Lashon HaKodesh Shema Yasha'Allah Yahweh Allahayanawa Echad, which means, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. The Muhammadian slogan is as follows. La aliyah Allah. I don't even like saying it. La aliyah Ella Allah Muhammad Rasul Allah. That thing that they be saying, you know what they be saying. And in translation, it is, there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the prophet of Allah. So in other words, they just changed what we say in Deuteronomy 6:4. They changed that to mean that God is one and Muhammad is his prophet. They just took ours and rephrased it.
Question, right? So it's clear that Muhammad is a man.
Yes.
In my experience of dealing with Muslims, they always say he's Jesus, but they just call him Muhammad. You never heard them say that?
No, they try to say that he's a prophet, that he's the last.
They try to say he's the last prophet.
Yeah.
Or maybe my understanding of his whatever, but
yeah, they try to say he's the last prophet. And they say, this is what Muslims say. They say Jesus is just the prophet, and that he's more important than any other prophet, but Muhammad is the last prophet.
Yeah, that's what they say.
And he gave the last revelation. That's what they try to say. All right? But what you're going to find out is that would be impossible according to the Holy Scriptures.
so
Right.
Galatians 1 and 8 is an important verse to remember.
Yes, it is. Galatians 1 and 8. So now you got two scriptures to remember. All right?
Exodus 11 and 7. Galatians 1 and 8.
There you go. Go to Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20. I'm going to show you why it's impossible for Muhammad to be a prophet. And especially the last prophet. Because the Bible don't say that that a last prophet was going to be sent from Arabia. All right? So the reason why he tried to claim descent from Ishmael is to try to say, because he knows that that's his forefather. So he claimed descent from Ishmael to try to have some legitimacy to say he could be a prophet. That's all that is. All right? But you about to find out that's impossible according to the Holy Scriptures. Read Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20.
He sheweth his word unto Jacob.
So Jacob is the father of Israel. He's the grandson of Abraham. Read on.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
So Israelites are the only ones who had the laws, statutes, and commandments. All right? Just like it was said, Isaac was going to have the covenant, not Ishmael. All right? Ishmael was blessed, but not with the covenant. The law, statutes, and commandments was given to Isaac. That was the Israelites. Read on.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
He have not what?
Dealt so with any nation.
So there's no other nation that the Lord is dealing with in regards to his covenant.
And what was that again?
That's Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20. So there's no other nation that he's dealing with in regards to his covenant. So how can an Arab outside of the Israelites come out and say that now God revealed to them the last revelation? That's impossible. That's impossible. Trust and believe that. And we just read it. Read on.
He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Hallelujah. Go to Romans chapter 3, verse 3.
I'm gonna do my link up tomorrow.
You said go to Romans.
No, just write them down. I'm gonna use them as the reader.
says-
Write down your notes.
You said chapter 3, verse
Romans
what?
chapter 3, verse 3.
That's my position right now. I'm gonna play it. I got the spirit of tiredness right now.
Well, we gotta kill that spirit.
Chapter 3, verse 3.
Yep. Just write your link up so you can have it. You know what I mean? And then you could go over it with him. All right? Read that.
For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid.
So guess what? God forbid. It don't matter if you don't believe what the Israelites saying or not. All right? It's still going to be the truth. Read on.
Let God be true, but every man a liar.
Let God be true, but every man a liar. Read on.
As it is written, that thou mightest be justified.
My bad. Read verse 2.
Much.
Read verse 1. Start from verse 1.
Romans chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then have the Jew?
So now what does it mean to be a Jew? Why is it important that you know if you're an Israelite or not? Right? Read on.
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
So what do you get from following the commandments that the Jews follow? Read on.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
So it said it matters much in every way because the oracles of God, meaning the Bible, the writings, were committed to the Israelites, not to the Arabs, not to the Christians, to the Israelites. You understand? This was the reason, like, for example, we always say the Israelites is God's chosen people, right?
Yeah.
You ever ask an Israelite why we're God's chosen people? We're God's chosen people because God made us the priest of the whole world. When every nation want to know what is God plan and what God want to do, they have to come to us. That's why in the last days, when you go out to New York in Times Square, you don't see Muslims out there and everybody's going to find out what the Quran say. You see Israelites out there and everybody's going to Israel to find out what the Bible say. Because we are the priest of the whole world. That's why we're chosen. You understand? We are committed to have the oracles of God. So it's impossible for Muhammad to be the last prophet. Now let's go into that. Why he can't be the last prophet? Go to the book of Joel. The book of Joel is in the Old Testament. It's close near the New Testament. It's a small book. So be careful because you could flip past it very easily.
Is it before or after Malachi?
It is before Malachi.
I used to know the Bible like, man, I gotta get back, man. I used to really know it like.
Used to flip through the pages.
Real. My grandma made me like that. She made me study each book of the Bible.
And go to chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
And verse 28. Joel chapter 2, verse 28.
And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions.
So stop right there. The Lord said that he going to make it while our sons and daughters begin to prophesy. So how could he be the last prophet if the Lord promised that in the last days our sons and daughters were going to be prophesying? So now that's a contradiction. That's not, he's not saying what the Bible's saying. So one, he's not an Israelite, so he can't be a prophet of the Bible. And two, he can't be the last prophet when the Bible says that in the last days our sons and daughters was going to be prophesying. You understand? Right. Now he said the Quran is what? The last revelation, right? Let's go to the book of Revelations and find out what the last revelation is. All right? Ain't no dang on last revelation. And not one prophecy is in the Quran. Next time somebody say the Quran is the last revelation, which revelation means to reveal, ask them to reveal a prophecy from the Quran.
And Quran just pretty much means to replicate, right? Or something like that.
To recite. Right. Go to Revelations chapter 22, verse 18. This is the last revelation right here. The book of Revelations, the last book of the Bible. All right, read that.
That's the last page, too.
The last page. Right? Read on.
For
read
I
that.
testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy.
Of the what?
Of the prophecy.
Of the what?
Of the prophecy. Of this book.
Of what?
This book.
Not the Quran. Of this book. Read on.
If any man shall add unto these things.
If you try to add books like the Quran, read on.
God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book.
So what does that mean? Muhammad is a cursed man. That's what that means.
Conclusion of the whole matter.
We're going to finish reading a little bit more about Mr. Muhammad. It says on page 49, Muhammad tried to construct his religion as closely as he could after the Jewish religion. He favored the Jews by accepting many of their laws and traditions, like not eating pork. He got that from us. But the Quran still tell you can eat lobster and shrimp, though.
Oh, and if you're on starvation, you could eat pork, too.
Yeah. He favored the Jews by accepting many of their laws and traditions. When the Jews refused to be converted, he commanded his followers to stop turning to the holy city of Jerusalem in prayer. Because remember, in Hanukkah, we read about the dedication of the first temple with Solomon. And the Lord said for everybody to pray towards Jerusalem, to pray towards the holy city and the temple, or where the temple once was. But now Muhammad said, you know what? Forget these Jews. They don't want to accept my religion. So we ain't going to pray towards Jerusalem no more, right? He changed he commanded his followers to stop praying towards the holy city of Jerusalem in prayer, but rather to turn to the city of Mecca, meaning his home city. Check that out. He changed the Jewish Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, or fast day, which he had accepted for the month of Ramadan. So he wanted to outdo everything that the Bible had. He wanted to outdo it. That's why if you notice, what's the title of this book?
The glorious Quran.
So it couldn't just be the Quran. It had to be called the glorious Quran. He wanted to outdo the Bible. You understand? So he said, you know what? It's not enough to fast one day out of the year. Like what the Bible say, we're going to pick a whole month. And ironically, that fast is always around the time when our fast is to be.
Yom Kippur.
Yep. Muhammad changed the Jewish Sabbath from Saturday to Friday. So look, the same way the Christians changed it from Saturday to Sunday, he changed it from Saturday to Friday. All right, that's the day that the Muslims worship.
They all dress in white.
Yep. We have another parallel with Christianity. In the 4th century, the church changed the Sabbath to Sunday and recognized its calendar to make Easter separate of Passover. Like Christianity, also, Muhammad included in his Bible, which is the Quran, accusations concerning the Jews. Nevertheless, the Quran glorifies many biblical personalities. So now, let's get into what the Quran said. Let's read excerpts from the Quran and how you see the admiration that he had for our people, and then he turned around and say, but you know what, because they don't want to believe the Quran, kill them.
Quick question. Being as though Muhammad is cursed, if you name your son Muhammad, is that pretty much putting a curse on him?
You shouldn't name your son Muhammad because that's not a.
You're trying to honor him.
It's like you're honoring the Ishmaelites religion. You know what I mean?
My middle name is Ishmael, but it's spelled.
And that's why your name. And that's why your name gonna be changed into a Hebrew name.
It's spelled ISHMEL.
Right. Yeah. Your name gonna be changed. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? You could actually use the real name of Ishmael from the Hebrew. You understand? So you don't have to take on that name. That was just the name that was given to you. When you read the Bible, whenever great men had a moment with God, a great event in their life, God had their names changed. Like Paul, his original name was Saul. Israel, his name was Jacob. You understand? So God ended up changing people's names whenever a major event happened. Right. Read out of the Quran. Read some of these excerpts out of the Quran.
So one of them reads.
What surah is this?
This is in Surah 40, Surah 2, 40. It says, O children of Israel, remember my favor which I granted you, and fulfill your obligations to me, so that I shall fulfill my covenant with you and fear me alone.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, God dealing with the Israelites. What's another one?
It's,
Let's just go to the heavy hitters because I don't want to get
O
too
children
deep
of Say, O children of Israel, remember my favors which I granted you, in that I favor you above the worlds.
Wait. It said what?
Above the worlds. I favor you above the worlds.
So even in the Quran, God says he favored the children of Israel above everybody.
That's the Surah 2 and 47.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was the Surah.
That's crazy.
2 and 40.
That's in their book.
And that's in their book.
Yeah, that's in the Quran.
They still don't.
That's over here, guys.
Right. But you're gonna find out that throughout the Quran, that admiration began to change into hate, and then he starts calling us infidels. And if you see a Jew over there, kill him. And all of that other stuff. Watch.
Let me see this one. It says, and they claim the fire will not touch us except for a few days. Say, have you taken a promise from God concerning this, so that God will not break his promise? Or do you say of God, what do you know? What do you not know? Let me see. And when we took a covenant from the children of Israel, worship none but God.
Read that one again.
It said, and when we took a covenant from the children of Israel.
So this the Ishmaelites claiming that they took the covenant from us. Read on.
It says, worship none but God, and treat with kindness your parents and your near of kin.
Right. I don't want to read all of them. Just read like the main ones, because
I haven't read it in a minute, baby.
Yeah.
I gotta look through them. This one is the Surah chapter 2 and 83.
Right.
Give me a second.
Yeah. All right, you look for some. I want to go through more scriptures, because our people really did follow this stuff. You understand? And this is not the first time that we followed Arab religions. Before the Arabs created Islam, we followed their pagan religions of worshiping other gods as well too. Go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verse 2. All right. And I think I'm going to wait
This
to
one says, "Indeed, we saved the scripture to Moses, and follow him with the messenger one after the other. Then we gave Jesus, the son of Mary, clear signs and supported him with the Holy Spirit. Then whenever a messenger came to you with a message you did not desire, you were insolent. Some you rejected and others you killed."
So pretty much it's the same doctrine as Christianity. They trying to say because the Israelites rejected God, then God rejected them, which that's true. But then now they trying to say, so now anybody can follow God. So God ain't dealing with the Israelites no more. The covenant is given to everybody. That's pretty much what they're trying to say. And which one was that one?
That was the Surah chapter 2 verse 87.
Right. Now we're going to go into the real holy book real quick. Go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 2. This ain't the first time that Israelites began to follow Arab religions. When they was worshiping a God for each day out of the year,
what?
chapter 3 verse 2. When they was worshiping a God for each day out of the year, Israelites was following that too.
Jeremiah, circle. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 2.
Uh-huh.
Lift up thine eyes unto the high places,
Meaning look all around you. Read on.
and see where thou hast not been lying with.
Meaning look and see what religion that the Israelites have not followed. We followed everything, all right? We was right there in Africa with the Hamites doing that Mondo magic too. All right, some of them tribes are probably Israelites too, blowing up a cow butt, doo-doo coming down on them, all of that junk. You understand? Yeah, nasty, right?
It's real.
All right.
Really doing that.
Really doing that. You understand? Every religion you could think of, Israel done followed it. Israel believe in anything. Anything. That's why they try to say black people are the most spiritual people on the face of the earth. You notice people ever say that? And the reason why they say that, because anything you could think of, black people believe in it. Anything.
Yeah, that cup right there is
Right? Read on.
in the ways hast thou sat for them as the Arabian in the wilderness.
So we sat like the Arabian in the wilderness, following after Arabs, following after people like Muhammad. Right? Read on.
This is the big part right here. And thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness.
So thou hast polluted the land with the whoredoms by bringing those Arab religions. That's why if you notice in the hood, you see a church on every corner, a liquor store on every corner, and there's a mosque. Those are the two biggest religions.
And we polluted our lands with them.
So that's even to this day, in every hood where the Israelites is, if you don't see Christianity, you're going to see Islam. That's what you're going to see. And Christianity and Islam is a modern day version of the same pagan religions we was following back then. That's all it is. It's nothing new under the sun.
I told you
right.
to kill Islam. This nigga.
slaying them down.
Read on.
It's dead.
Therefore, the showers have been withholding, and there have been no latter rain, and thou hast a whore's forehead. Thou refusing to be ashamed.
Yeah, we refuse to be ashamed.
Read that one.
We believe in Islam more than the Dango and Arabs.
Read that one.
Right?
That is facts.
All right, this says right here, and when it is said to them, believe in the Quran, which God, or who they say is God, as revealed, they say, we believe only in what was revealed to us before. This is what the real Jews are saying. And they disbelieve in that which comes after. While the Quran is truth, I don't even like reading this junk. Confirming the revealed scriptures with them, say, why then were you killing the prophets of God before if you were truly believers? So now, even the other nations know that we was killing our own prophets. So, and they use that against us. Don't the Christians use that against us? Yeah. Oh, God ain't dealing with the Israelites because they rejected you. They rejected God. You understand? And now the Muslims are doing the same thing that the Christians do. See, the Israelites, they rejected God prophets. So now they reject us like they were rejecting God's prophets. It's all falsehood. You understand? It's true. Yeah, we rejected God. That's why we under the curses. You understand? But we reject God more when we accept they dang on pagan ways.
And it also says in the Bible that Israel will have an everlasting covenant.
Yes, an everlasting covenant. Go to that. Go to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. To show that the covenant is never going to leave the Israelites.
45 and what?
And 17. All right. The covenant is never going to leave the Israelites.
You know how you was looking at me the other day?
Who, me?
You know how you was looking at me yesterday? That's how I am over here like now. like, yeah, man. You doing this?
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation.
So it says Israel going to be saved with an everlasting salvation. Read on.
Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
It said we shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. Without end. All right, meaning God is dealing with us forever.
No, look at this one. This is in the Quran, guys. All right, so don't think this is about being scripture. It says, and the Jews say the Christians follow nothing of the truth, and the Christians say the Jews follow nothing of the truth, while they both read the same book. and those who have no knowledge say the same of both of them. But God will judge between them on the day of resurrection in their disputes.
Yo, I never knew the Quran was that much different. Everybody used to say this. The Quran's kind of like the Bible. Yo, that's different.
That's very different.
We're going to bury it and bury it even deeper. Now, I'm going to read some more history from Babylon and Timbuktu, page 88. Between the 2nd and the 3rd centuries, the black Jews of Arabia continue migrating across the Red Sea to Ethiopia. This is the ones you call Phoenician Jews today. All right, the Ethiopian Jews were being persecuted in Arabia. So they fled into Ethiopia, which all you got to do is just cross the Red Sea and you're right there in Ethiopia. You understand? So they fled into Ethiopia and now to this day being persecuted by the Ethiopian government. And I got a whole class about that as well. The largest exodus of the Jews occurred during the persecution by Arabs led by Muhammad. So this was right when Muhammad was still alive. He was killing Jews. He has said on his dying bed that he wanted Islam to be supreme throughout all of Arabia. So now they was killing Jews. Now, in case people think that this man is lying, this is an encyclopedia that got nothing to do with the Bible. All right? Nothing to do with the Bible, just a plain old regular encyclopedia. When you look up the name Arabs, or you look up Arabs, right? It says Arab communities are also found in Madagascar along the East African coast. So on the east coast of Africa, you have Arabs ruling like Libya and Liberia. Not Liberia, but like Libya and all of that. Arabs are Sudan. You know, Arabs, they rule those parts of Africa. That's why a lot of Africans are Muslim, because Arabs conquered Africa, right? The term does not usually include Arabic-speaking Jews. So you got Jews in Africa that speak Arabic. So here it is. When people try to say, oh, there's no Jews in Africa, the encyclopedia telling you there's Jews in Africa. And they speak Arabic, all right? Mm-hmm. African Jews that speak Arabic. Found chiefly in North Africa and formerly in Yemen and Iraq. Kurds, Berbers, Coptics, and Druze. But it does include Arabic-speaking Christians chiefly found in Syria, Lebanon. All right, that's where they selling. When you see pictures of Arabs selling quote unquote Africans in slavery in modern day times, that's really talking about these Arabic speaking Jews right here that's being sold. All right, the American government had Gaddafi killed, and now the Arabs done went crazy over there and selling Arabic speaking Jews into slavery right now to this day. But you consider them your brothers.
Arabic speaking Jews.
That don't even make sense.
The derivation of the term Arab is unclear, and the meaning of the word has changed several times through history, as first mentioned in the Bible. The Arabs became rulers of many different peoples, and gradually a great Arab civilization was built up, although many of its cultural leaders were not ethnically Arabs. Some were not even Muslims, but Christians and Jews. The civilization reflected Arab values, tastes, and traditions. Learning flourished in the Islamic lands. In Europe, they were particularly important in Sicily, which they held from the 9th century. They ruled over there for a time period to the late 11th century, and civilizations of the Moors in Spain were a part of great Arab patterns. When you talk about the Moors, generally speaking, they're going to call the Moors Arabs, but you had black Africans and black Jews who were called Moors. The word Moor only means black. All right, so just because somebody a Moor don't mean that they were an Arab or a Muslim.
Black.
They just mean that they was black. You could have been any black nation. You could have been a Jew. You could have been an African. You could have been a dang on Arab. All right, but I'm gonna show you something about that persecution real quick. Hold on.
It's crazy, yo.
If you got something else from that Quran, read it.
Oh man. Go into the wrong file, man.
Morocco. That's
I gotta save my aunt, man.
This might have been a little bit too much for her though.
I gotta get her up out of that G-Rod.
This might have been a little bit too much, you know.
She need to hear this, man, because she live by that, yo. She trying to get me into that.
Oh, you talking about your aunt?
Yeah, I need to go with it prepared so I can kill her.
All right, check this out. When you look up Morocco in this same encyclopedia, right? It says the Arab conquest, which first swept over Morocco in 683, brought with it Islam. Christianity was all but extirpated, meaning Christianity was there first or before Islam. But when Islam came, Christianity died out. So when people try to say, oh, the Bible was given to us in slavery, that's a lie. You had people in Africa, in Morocco, the west coast of Africa, who considered themselves Christians. But the Jewish colonies, by and large, retained their religion. All right, so there were Jews in the west coast of Africa, but they were taken over by Arabs when Arabs began to conquer in Africa. All right, and you were forced into it. All right,
So
and this is where Morocco is. You see that little dot right there? That's the west coast of Africa. That's where you was taken from.
And we was forced into the Arabian.
Yeah, many some of
Forced
them.
into Islam.
Yeah, some of them you weren't forced, but many of them you were. Many of them you were forced. Trust and believe that. All right, and they pretty much they gave you a choice. It's either you die by the sword or you converted to Islam.
Because it actually say that in the Quran also.
Mm-hmm.
You die by the sword or you
I haven't gone that far
or you
yet.
convert to Islam.
I'm gonna go back into From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 93.
Get down and lay down.
To the writing of the Arabs and the oral traditions of the country, he can now add the archaeological evidence furnished by the ruins of the ancient Jewish cities in the Sahara and the Sudan. So in Africa, we had Israelite civilizations. All right, they found the ruins of those civilizations and say, yo, there was Jews living here at one point. All right. And the documentary evidence of Hebrew inscriptions, like those of Tuat, which date from the 13th and 14th centuries. It is now an established fact that Ghana was a black Hebrew state. Up to this time, all the kings of Ghana professed the Hebrew religion. However, in this year, a radical transformation occurred. Zar Kaza accepted Islam. So now you had some of our Israelite kings in Africa convert to Islam. And it's about to tell you why, because it was for business, right? Davidson, quoting the Tariq el-Feticha, says that the king of Songhai, which is in Ghana, was persuaded to convert to Islam by the merchants of the city of Gayo, who already had become wealthy and economically powerful. So what ended up happening is we had our civilizations in Africa, and then when Muslims started coming and they was building up their civilizations, they started competing with us economically. So now when the competition was getting too thick, you had some Israelite kings that was like, well, you know what? I'm going to just become Muslim so we could keep the money. So it was a business move, and they started converting. The Muslims were dominant in Ghana's vital trade links in North Africa and the Sahara, and it was good for Ghana's security to be recognized as having a Mohammedan king. So meaning if you was a Jew and you converted to Islam, right, then the Muslims would do business with your people off of the strength that your king was a Muslim. All right. So this is how we ended up getting sold into slavery. All right, because we began doing business with these people, converting to their religion, and then they turned around and sold us. Right? Davidson says these are tactical conversions. These kings are Muslims only in name. So they called themselves Muslim, but they wasn't necessarily following Muslim belief. They were still following somewhat the Israelite customs. In spite of the fact that the kings of Ghana professed Islam, many of the inhabitants remained Jews. All right. These invaders were called by the year 1076 AD, Abu Bakr, the leader of the Almoravids, captured the capital of Ghana. However, the Islamic Jewish king was allowed to maintain his throne. All right, so they conquered parts of Ghana and made us puppets. It was like, yo, we'll let you still be king, but you working for us now. Similar to what we going to do when we take the kingdom, right? At this time, Gao, the capital of Ghana, was separated into two cities. The first one was the residence of the king. This city contained a fortress which was surrounded by a wall. The second city contained 12 mosques in which the Muhammadan merchants could settle or wait until they transacted their business. This description given by L. Becker leaves us with the impression that the city of the king's residency was probably inhabited mainly by Jews, because there was a great distinction between the king's residence and the residence of Muhammadans. So now you can see the cultural difference over there in Ghana, where you had one part where it was like all Jews, and then another part converted Jews into Islam, right? In the city of Gaho, the Islamic religion was influential. Only a Muslim could be king. All right, so that's what they started doing. Page 98. The Empire of Mali. So all of this is in Africa. These are different places that we were in Africa. And go to Deuteronomy 28, because I'm going to read something about that. And that's going to be last scripture. The Empire of Mali is also called Melstein Empire. The word Mali is derived from a Mandingo grammatical root meaning free. The rulers of people of the Empire of Mali were black Africans of the Mandingo tribe. Mandingos established their capital at a place called Naani. After the breakup of the Ghanaian Empire by invasion from many tribes, Ghana split apart into a number of states. But in the capital of Ghana, Gao, the Hebrew Zah kings continued to reign. So we were ruling in Ghana, all right, but it was a lot of politics dealing with it, with the Islamic thing. The Mandingo traders of Mali traded with the Muslims in those days to some extent to today. Commerce and religion have operated together. The Mandingo merchants recognized the advantages of the rapidly growing, powerful, influential culture and religion of the Muslims in the north. So, in other words, our people began converting to Islam in places like Mali and Timbuktu and other places in Ghana off of just the simple fact of doing business. All right. And we had Hebrew kings in Africa. Now, what ended up happening? The Arabs sold us into slavery and took over those Israelite empires in Africa. So go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36.
And what was the slave trade of that? The sub-Saharan?
Huh?
What slave trade was that?
The sub-Saharan slave trade. Deuteronomy 28, verse 36. And my brother, read that for me.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king.
So even the kings that we had set up, like the kings in Mali and in different parts of Ghana that we reading about now, that converted to Islam, right? Read on.
And the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
So that's the reason why 10% of the population that was brought into slavery were Muslims. Because our people set kings over us that decided, I'm going to convert to Islam. And God said, oh yeah, well now I'm going to send you into slavery. Right? You understand? That's what, verse 36. That's what the Most High did to us. All right?
He said, oh yeah?
Exactly. Read
That's funny.
I want the wood and stone. Right? Continue reading.
And thou shalt become an astonishment,
meaning amazement to people. Read on.
A proverb.
And people gonna have proverbs about you, like, you know, black people crazy and all type of sayings about us. All right, read on.
And a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Right, meaning they was gonna give us other names that don't belong to us. So instead of calling us Israelites, they was gonna call us Kato, which that's a word that the Africans created, which means cotton pickers. That's a derogatory term by Africans against us. All right?
So we're picking cotton over there.
Mm-hmm.
Picking cotton over here.
Exactly. Read
cotton everywhere.
Booty scratches.